Swider man. He's getting all the attention now.
Ooh, I like that Swider man. That might be Cole's new nickname.
Swider basket and a foul.
Eddie Casey. Swider answered back.
Swider from deep. Laces the three. Swider and one. Count the bucket.
Welcome back to the Swider Show, everyone. We're here in Syracuse, beautiful Syracuse, New York, in the middle of a little bit of a snowstorm. On my way back from Detroit, headed back home, decided to stop in Syracuse. And I was like, Adam, let's put a pod together. So we're here in Syracuse. We're in the beautiful Newhouse building. And, Adam, we're here.
We made it. It's exciting to be back. It's been 9 months since we did an episode.
It's crazy.
So you have to do it during a Syracuse snowstorm live. I feel like that's the best way to do it.
No doubt. Well, I feel like this is a perfect time to kind of update all the fans and put something out. Obviously, it's been a hectic time since the last time we've been here. I've been on 3 different teams. I think last time we were on a podcast, I was still with the Heat. Been on 3 different teams.
Wow.
Been in a lot of different situations. Been all over the place. So this is just another part of those crazy situations.
Yeah, we can go through it, right? So you were with the Heat for Summer League.
Yep.
And then went to the Pacers for training camp.
Yeah.
And then went to Detroit for the first 2-3 months of the season.
Yeah.
As of Monday night or Tuesday, we were headed home to Rhode Island for a couple of days, and then what's next after that?
Yeah, so we're gonna head out to LA, start working out, start training, and just get ready for my next opportunity. I think this is a time for me where I think my next opportunity is gonna have to be the right one, right? And being picky, being selective, and honestly just. We've had calls, we've had offers, and I think the biggest thing is just making sure that the next thing I take is going to be real NBA time, and that's been my only focus from the beginning of the year, is to get real NBA time. I mean, it's no secret I've played well in the G League. I think I've proved myself in the G League, been a G League All-Star. So now it's really just about just making that next step.
What's the balance between finding the perfect situation and finding a situation that's 80% good and then finding one that's, I'm rostered on an NBA team for the rest of the year? I
mean, you just have to go with your gut. You have to go with the best thing that you think is the best thing for you. I think a lot of the times, like, definitely as a young player, you jump at the first opportunity and you think it's going to work out. I'm just really trusting God. I'm trusting His ability to work in my life, and I think that this will give me the flexibility to play NBA minutes, and that's all I've been wanting. I haven't yet had an opportunity where I've been able to play extended NBA minutes. So I think this will give me the flexibility for a team that needs shooting, that wants to look at some guys that they're interested in, wants to give a guy a 10-day, right? Like all these different situations, this will give me the flexibility to go where in the past I've been locked up on 2 ways with teams that didn't have the same level of interest of me playing on the court. So I think this will give me a good opportunity. My agent and I are going through every single situation. Like I said, we've had offers, but at the same time, we just want to take it day by day, step by step, and just be really strategic.
What's your sweet spot for not playing? So you can go shoot. We're going to go shoot at Mello in an hour.
Yeah.
You can shoot out in LA. You can shoot at home, but you're not in a game situation always.
Yeah.
How long could you go not in a game situation to the point where you'd want to find a situation where you'd be able to play if it's in the G League or in the NBA? Like, when does that start nagging you?
Well, it's going to be weird. Like, it hasn't hit me yet because I've only been out for 2 days, but it's going to be weird not playing in the game. So I think for me, it's really about being in the right situation, being patient, trusting the process, and at most, like after the trade deadline, I'll be playing again, no matter where it is.
Somewhere?
So, yeah.
Nice. That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
When you work out in LA, are you working on the things that you're best at, or are you working on the things that you're worst at?
It's a sweet spot. Yeah, you want to keep your skills sharp, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're that you're working on things that you're deficient at. Right. Gonna make sure I'm getting my slides in. Gonna be make sure I'm guarding guys. Gonna be make sure I'm doing full sprint catch and shoot. Going to do a little bit extra conditioning since I'm not playing. So I think all those things are good. But I think we should give the listeners a little background into my past 6 months.
Sure. It's been a minute. We haven't been. I don't know how people follow when they're not listening to the pod every week, but there's updates that we don't even find out till right before it happens, or we know beforehand, but we can't say anything.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a great idea. What's happened since
Yeah, I mean, I think we can start in summer. Well,
sure.
The end of the season, right? Summer league. Obviously, after the season, I went home for a little bit, and then I went right back to Miami. Started working out again. Had a great month of June, getting ready for summer league. We had 6 guys there getting ready for summer league, and as you guys saw, we had a great summer league and won summer league. During summer league, I had a qualifying offer. I got my qualifying offer taken away in summer league, so I went from being like the main guy in summer league to coming off the bench, and just doing whatever I could just to try and help the team. So that was an interesting dynamic. We ended up winning summer league, and then after it's back to free agency. So after that, had a couple offers. Decided to bet on myself and go to Indiana. Had a really good conversation with Coach Rick Carlisle, and I felt really good about the situation. They didn't have anyone on the roster like me, so it felt like a great situation to go in there and earn a roster spot, which I've been working for this whole entire time. Being on a two-way, I kind of knew the rhythm of everything. So being able to bet on myself to earn that 15th roster spot was a great challenge and something that I don't regret doing. So yeah, went into Indiana training camp. Thought I played good, not great. Didn't have that breakout game like I had in Miami the year before, but had multiple double-digit scoring games, and it came right down to the end, literally like the last game, last minutes, and got told by Rick and Chad Buchanan and Kevin Pritchard that I was the last cut of the team.
It was so close because we saw that there were literal tweets saying that you made the roster, and we were like, I was like, I didn't hear this yet. I don't want to bother Cole about it because I want him to be excited and tell us when he tells us. But I was like, it is weird that it's been 2 days and there's nothing. And I think at that time you really hadn't heard anything either. You were waiting till that last deadline second.
It's crazy because pretty good sources, NBA sources, were saying that I made the roster.
Yep.
And I remember getting probably 50 texts from people around the NBA, from friends, from even family members saying congrats, you bet on yourself, you made the team. And I'm like, I don't want to respond to anybody because I know that's not the case yet. I know it's not a done deal. The numbers make sense. I would have been the 15th guy. They waived the other guy that I was competing against. Right. So the numbers did make sense, but it wasn't confirmed yet. And it's such a tough dynamic because it's all right, they waived him, they didn't waive me. There's one preseason game left. Are they going to make the decision based off of this one preseason game? Or are they going to make the decision of the past 2 months?
You're wondering why they're not telling you now versus in 3 hours and 2 days. It's got to be tough to not know when you're going to have conversations, right? How does that feel when you're you're seeing these people in person coaching, but then they're not having the meeting with you, or the GM is you're seeing them around the building, but we'll talk to you in a week, Yeah,
life of a player on the edge of the NBA, man. I think one thing I've learned is just to not take stuff personal. I think I've been told by a lot of people, and I hope they're genuine when they say this, you're right there, you're an NBA player, you're right on the edge. I think for me and a lot of these guys between the 300 and 500 mark of players, right? There's 450 players in the NBA, 300 through 500, 550 even. You need the right situation.
Sure.
You need the right coach. You need someone to believe in you. You need someone to believe in your skill set, and that is going to help them win games. And I think I've been in situations where I'm the odd man out, right? And I think this situation with the Pistons changed, and that was part of the reason why I'm no longer there. But in every other situation, I felt the Pacers was a great situation. Obviously, they have 2 big guys get hurt, so if I do make the roster, do I get cut right away, right? Because they need to get a big guy. With Miami, I think when there's similar people on the roster as you become very expendable.
Yeah.
And Duncan and Tyler have done it at a high level in the league, and I haven't proven myself yet. Right. So it makes a guy like yourself like expendable. So I think for me, it's just really finding that right situation, finding the right coach, finding a right opportunity to play. Hopefully, play 5-6 games and break out, right, and have that breakthrough. I still feel like I'm on the right track. I still feel like I've gotten better every single year, and pretty long-winded answer, but
no, that's the good answer. And the topic of changing situations, I think a good example would be I visited your game in Philly against the Sixers. It was like right after Halloween or right before Halloween, I think October 30th. And me and my friend that were there were shocked that the Pistons had beat the Sixers. And now look at their records 3 months later.
It's crazy.
The Sixers, yes, they've had injury issues, but like they're not at that level. And the Pistons all of a sudden are, 500 ball and have a chance to move on. Like, you can't know that's coming when you're making your decision in October. The same way you can't know what's coming in training camp in August. So I guess my question would be, do you have individual regrets about each situation, or are you actually able to move past them right away? Like, for example, you're on your way home from Detroit right now. You're 24 hours out from leaving there. Are you wishing you were at practice today, or is there part of it that you're ready to move on?
Yeah, I think going into the situation in Detroit, I don't even know if people within the organization thought they would be where they're at right now. And that's not saying that they didn't know that they were a good team, they didn't have good players. I just think that they might be a year ahead of where they thought they were going to be. And that has a lot to do with Cade Cunningham. That has a lot to do with Jalen Duren. That has a lot to do with how great Malik Beasley's played, right? And being around those guys, and Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway, and being around those guys every single day, I could tell, like these guys can win. Yeah. I think we started out like 0-4, but every single game was like a close loss. And it's like JB Bickerstaff, who I have nothing but, I hold him in very high regard of him as a coach. He was like, hey, guys, when we figure this thing out, we're going to start winning games, and we're going to be a really good team. And that happened, right? I think they've won 7 out of their last 8.
They're rolling. Which, if you at the beginning of the season, if you were to tell me, my agent, Alondas Williams' agent, that they were going to be 18-18 and win 7 of the last 8, we probably wouldn't have believed you. Because the whole entire thing is all right, Detroit, they're going to be competitive. They're going to play hard. JB's going to get them to be a respectable team. At the end of the year, there should be some opportunity there, right? And that was the idea. Obviously, plans change, things change, and I think this is probably a better situation for me, being able to pick out my next location. Yeah. To really try and get NBA minutes. Yeah. I think the two-way in Detroit turned into a primarily G League role, which is a lot of NBA situations are like that. So you have to be picky and choosy and truly figure out where could I get NBA minutes, because that's my goal is to make the NBA. Is there ever any part of you that makes a decision based off of how many years you've been doing this, or how at what point your athletic prime would be in, say, a couple of years, and then also the fact that you're a third-year player now instead of a rookie? Are you more confident in saying, yeah, I'm going to go to LA for 2 weeks and then make a decision? And, you can be choosy, like you said, but you don't want to get left behind by accident, some...
No, 1,000%. I think me as a rookie, I would have jumped on the first offer that came on the table after this situation. And now... my agent and I, we talk, and we're a lot more secure in believing that there's going to be a good opportunity that comes up. Not saying that's 100% going to happen or this and that, but I have faith. I believe that this year is going to be my breakthrough year. I think that there's going to be a good situation out there for me. And I think there's a lot of movement that's going to happen throughout the rest of the NBA season. There's 14 open roster spots. There's a couple open two-ways. Some two-ways are going to get converted to roster spots. I might get a two-way there.
There you go.
There could be a situation where a team could give me a couple of 10-day contracts and maybe convert me, right? So, there's so many different situations that could happen. And I just think I just have to be patient.
How do you feel about, I guess it's a similar question, but in terms of, the non-basketball side of it. Like you said you're going home and then to LA and then moving elsewhere. I've moved around a lot the last year and a half with work and graduating and everything. Are you now just in a mode where you can pick up and leave right away and get somewhere and not have like necessarily close friends there and you're on the phone all the time instead of being with them? Are you okay doing that for the next 2 months?
I've kind of just surrendered to the fact that this is what I want to do for a living. Surrendered to the fact that you can't really call a place a home. I bought furniture for the first time in Detroit.
Oh boy!
So now we have a U-Haul in Syracuse, New York, driving on our way back.
I saw
right?
it. Yeah.
And that's something that like people don't really think about, right? Like I think I'm going to be there the whole entire year. You have to plan for the best or expect the best, plan for the worst, right?
Sure.
So I don't know. I just feel like it's just all a part of God's plan, and there's a reason that I have to go through this, right? There's a reason I was in Detroit. There's a reason why I was in Indy, and I think it's just going to make me better towards the end. It's going to help me with my breakthrough. It's going to help me just have a long career. But I don't think getting discouraged off of every, like when I first got away by LA, when my qualifying offer got taken away by Miami, I was very emotional about those things. Yeah. I think these last 2 times I've taken it a little bit better just because, like, the nature of the business. I understand January 7th is the guarantee date. Like, I know that coming up. So, like, I'm not shocked at the timing, right? Like, I knew it was a possibility. So I think for me, it's all about just keeping my head on straight, knowing the bigger picture, going out to LA, working out, getting my body in an elite level shape, getting my mind ready for that next opportunity, and just being the best version of myself each and every single day.
If you could identify one thing that you've learned from the Pistons that you really didn't know, like not that you were kind of getting towards and then realized at the end, like what did you learn about yourself and your process just from Detroit, just from the last 3 months?
I think one thing I recognized being in Detroit was that you need to take your individual development like into your own hands. And I'm not saying that they didn't do a good job of developing me. I had a great player development coach named Steve Scalzi. And Steve Scalzi was a coach at Northeastern. We actually had like mutual connections. He like spoke at a camp that I went to in 7th grade. He did a great job with me. But I think like being a part of the Miami Heat organization, like they really took your development serious in your every single day approach. I think I was able to take a lot of those things from Miami and bring it to Detroit and really take my individual developments like serious and try and keep the same workout schedule and trying to eat the same things and all these things. So, and I also learned like a lot about just the different parts of the NBA, right? I still had the crazy schedules of flying in day games and 5 games in 5 days, 7 games in 8 days, and just trying to remain ready. I think it's such an easy thing to say to people. Hey, like stay ready. Yeah. But what about when you're playing 35 minutes in a G League game the night before, and then you have a 5 a.m. pickup car time. Yeah. You have a 7 a.m. flight to Memphis. You get into Memphis at 10:30. You have 10 minutes to eat, and then you go to walkthrough at 11 a.m. Oh my God. 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. walkthrough. You get extra shots up after 12:30. You get back to your hotel room, you eat quick, you try to go to sleep, but you had a Starbucks coffee in the morning so you could be up for the walkthrough, so you can't fall asleep. Then you're the first shooting time on the court at 4 p.m. for a 7:30 game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then you're playing the last 8 minutes of that game. So you have to stay ready the whole entire time during that time, and you've been up since 4 a.m. Wow. So I think it's like stay ready, be ready, all these things. It's really hard to do it, and that's why I respect the people who are able to sit down on the bench for 2 weeks, get up, and have a great game. So I think just the continued process of learning like, how to stay ready, the process, like laying everything out on the line is something that I'm going to continue to learn, and something I learned in Detroit.
I have a specific question that this one you could veto if you wanted to, but I want to hear your thoughts on, since it may happen today, tomorrow, maybe this weekend, the Miami Heat situation, where it's obvious that there was some turmoil, and now it seems as if Jimmy Butler probably won't play another game for the Heat. You were there for a year and 2 months or whatever, like, I got to meet some of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for inside information or what you
Yeah.
think's going to happen. Do you think the Heat can succeed without Jimmy? And what would be the best move for them to make if you were a GM of the Heat?
I don't bet against Spo. I think Spo is the best coach in the NBA. I don't think that's a secret. I think one thing that they do a really good job of is creating solutions. I think Spo is solution based. It sounds very simple, but Spo is so prepared and he's very solution based. And I think whatever they decide to do with Jimmy, they'll find a way to try and to make it the best possible way, make it the best possible team they can make it. I've seen Spo play two ways, play a rookie, play a second-year big guy, along with Bam and Tyler, and us beat the Lakers and us beat the Warriors in the same trip.
Yep.
So, like, I know that, like, Spo can figure stuff out like that. Are you a better team with Jimmy? Of course, you're a better team with Jimmy. But I know at the end of the day, like, the Heat, they're not going to do anything if it doesn't really benefit them, and they want to win. So they'll figure it out. They'll find a way. And if you really look at it, like, the East does have, like, 4 teams who I think you say objectively aren't trying to win. So you're going to
Sure.
they'll have a chance in the playoffs. And then when you have the best coach in the NBA and you have Bam and Tyler and the supporting cast that they do, like, I think you have a chance in a playoff series.
And we've seen it a million times. They get in, and then anything can happen. It's almost like the Orange and the March Madness. Like, they shock people with the way they play. And as a Celtics fan, I know this as the worst thing with 2023 and all that. But, like,
Yeah.
they, more than maybe any other team except maybe LeBron, get into the playoffs, and you are nervous to play them. You are scared to play them because they will surprise you in some way that we don't even know yet. Like, they're a scary team in the playoffs, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't really see the Heat have a lot of turmoil, so this is obviously new territory for them. But I think knowing the Heat, like, they're going to get out of the spotlight pretty soon, because I know that they don't love being in that light.
Interesting. Who do you said there's 4 teams in the East that may not be having a chance at anything? Who do you have winning in both conferences? Like, right now, who's at the top right now?
Yeah, I don't think you can go against the Celtics, right? Like, I think that
that's all I wanted to hear. Thank you.
The Celtics and Cavs have been objectively the 2 best teams in the East. I think the Cavs, like, it's unbelievable what Kenny Atkinson's doing with that team.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Celtics, Cavs in the East, and then in the West, I mean, it's gonna be hard to beat OKC.
They do good.
But I will say this though, look, you can't bet against Luka and Kyrie. You can't bet against Joker. I think Minnesota took a step back in terms of all those things, but I would probably say OKC and Dallas for the West,
Wow.
just because Dallas has 2 guys who can take over a playoff series, and they kind of have that mental edge over OKC right now after beating them last year. So I would say those 2 teams in the West and the Cavs and Celtics in the East.
A theory I've had the last 5 or 6 years, except for, like, the Raptors, is that every team that's won the finals has made a run a couple years before, has players that have won before. Like, you always need that experience.
Yeah.
So now that the Mavs have made that run last year, I think I'm more scared of them this year. I think that they are experienced and have lost once, so they understand. Celtics lost once, now they understand. The Heat made runs a couple times. Like, they could make a run if whoever they get back for Jimmy, especially some young guys, step up, which we know how they do in Miami. So, wow. It should be a good spring session of hoops, but I think we should get into some college basketball.
Let's do it. Come on.
We can all agree that this season isn't what the Orange have hoped for so far.
Yeah.
I was at the game last night, and it was a dogfight for a little while. They
pulled it out.
They pulled it out.
Shout out to the Orange.
So, and we're going over after this to see some of the team over there and work out. So, my question to you would be: do you see this? What's the ceiling for this team? And maybe there's some haters out there of Red Autry right now, and I wanted you to kind of discuss. You didn't have him as a head coach, but like, what is he like behind closed doors, and is he able to turn this team around?
I would never bet against the Orange, man. Obviously, I'm biased. I think we have a great program here. I think it's tough when you lose your best player. JJ was averaging over 20 points a game, and we were right in the game with Texas Tech and who's the other team that we played in Brooklyn early in the year.
Yeah, so we lost to Texas by 4 in Brooklyn. Patty and I were there.
Yeah.
And that was close. And, like, you look at Texas, they're a good basketball team.
Yeah.
So you get some of those early wins in the season.
Yeah, so I just think that when you lose your best player who's averaging 20 points a game, it's hard to replace that. And Donnie's done a great job stepping up, but he's a freshman.
Yeah.
He's a very talented freshman, but he's a freshman. So I think with JJ back, we're going to have a chance. And that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
Is it the season that we all hope for? No, but I remember my season at Syracuse. We had a lot of tough losses, man.
Sure.
But no one wanted to play us when it came to ACC tournament time. I remember all those guys seeing them at Portsmouth Invitational and these NBA workouts. It was like, hey, like no one wanted to play you guys because how dangerous you guys can be. And I think that this team is pretty similar. So I know Red will get these guys going. Red's practicing these guys like today. They're doing yoga after a game. Like he has them doing the right things. And yeah, Red as a person, I mean, he's the best, man. Like he has that perfect balance of like, as an assistant coach, you can be a little bit like more of like players' friends. But as a head coach, you kind of have to like draw that line a little bit. And I think a lot of times assistant coaches struggle making that transition to the head seat of like, all right, I was just like these guys' friends. I was just like these guys' biggest supporters. Now I have to be like the disciplinarian. I have to be like their worst enemy. If they don't play in the game, they're blaming me instead of coming to me and complaining about the head coach. Yeah. And I think Red's done an unbelievable job of transitioning to that head seat and being who he is, but at the same time, like being that disciplinarian, being like confident in his decisions, switching up lineups and giving guys different opportunities, right?
That, yeah.
Like he's not. I love Coach Boeheim, and I think it was the best thing that could ever happen for me. But he has a starting five, and he's sticking to that starting five the whole entire year.
Yeah.
You might start and play 12 minutes, but you're starting the whole entire year, which I loved about Coach. But Red's like, he's like, we're solution based. We're trying to find ways to win.
Sure.
And I think he's just going to continue to recruit, continue to get great talent, continue to develop these guys. Hopefully, we can get some continuity. You know what I mean? Like
eventually.
Yeah, eventually. With this next class of Sadiq White and Kyan and maybe we get Donnie to stay one more year.
Right. What do you think about these guys? Like, we know college basketball in general is changing, but after a less than what we wanted year so far, we'll see how it ends.
Yeah.
Do you think that changes their decision at all? Maybe not Donnie, because he was a huge name in high school.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that are like can elect to come back if they want, or they can move on. Do you think they're more likely to come back with a slightly less than perfect year, or are they less likely to come back?
I don't know, man. I think it really just depends on their belief in the program, and I think that Red does a great job of selling the program. Like, you see him recruiting at a very high level.
Yep.
Like people said, like Red's doing the best job recruiting since the early late 2009, 2010. Like, he's doing a great job recruiting that high school class, and I think as the NIL continues to get better, the resources continue to grow. Red's going to turn this thing around, and I truly believe that. I think Red is the right man for the job. He has the spirit, he has the energy, he has the swag to be the Syracuse head men's basketball coach. So there's going to be bumpy times. Like, it's year 2 in a whole entire new landscape of college basketball
and a new team,
and a brand new team. So I think things will start to even themselves out, and I think the rest of this year will be very telling. Like, he's going to get those guys to compete. Sure. And I wouldn't bet against Syracuse in March.
We'll have to see. I saw a tweet yesterday. I have to call this out. And it said, this year in the ACC tournament, there's like 3 teams that don't make it because we added 3 teams this year. Like, there's only a certain amount of teams that can actually be in Charlotte. And they were saying that Syracuse is going to be one of those 3 teams. I'm like, we're going to be playing in the ACC tournament. You're not going to be a bottom 3 ACC team. And, I'm so confident in this that if it becomes March and we're not in, I would be shocked. Like, there's no way. So people need to calm down with the crazy takes and everything.
What makes Syracuse basketball fans so great is that they're so passionate.
That's definitely true.
And there's not that many places in the country where you turn on ESPN, like ESPN local, and they're talking about the men's basketball team the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a cool thing for me being a part of it for 1 year. Even though I was getting hate, even though I was getting praise, even though like the ups and downs of our season, like every place I go to now, like in an NBA arena, in a G League arena, like, yo, Cole, big Syracuse fan, like thank you so much for what you did for us that year. It's like we weren't that good. I had a good year, not a great year, and these people are like just like over the top, over the moon about Syracuse basketball. So the word fan is short for fanatic.
Yep.
So
it's a good one.
I think Syracuse basketball fans are great. Do they overreact? Of course, but they're passionate, and that's why we love them. That's why we get 35,000 people in the Dome.
That's how it goes. We were at dinner in Manhattan a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We were at dinner 9 months ago in Miami. Yeah. And both times someone has come up and said, go Orange to you.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then I was in Jamaica last week and someone said, go Orange.
Let's go.
Seriously, I had a Syracuse shirt on. So it's like, it's a worldwide thing. And with all of those people comes a lot of negativity in a negative moment, like when you've lost 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when we win 4 in a row here, when we have a chance against Duke in the Dome in February? Like, there's going to be chances to come back, and we'll have to see what happens because it's the Orange.
And it's 15 games into the year. We still have 16 regular season games left and hopefully some playoff basketball. So, I mean, last year, people forget, like, we turned down the NIT. Like, we try to get ahead of the transfer portal. We lost one of the best assistant coaches in the country, and he's now at Siena. Like, there is a transition period in that. And I think, like, when you're trying to figure all those things out and then you lose your best player, there's not that many teams in the country who can survive losing their best player. There's probably a handful of teams in the country that can survive losing their best players. Yeah. And Syracuse isn't one of those teams, and that's fine. Like, but JJ's back, and he had a great game last night, and hopefully
he's gonna come back. Yeah,
and hopefully he can lead us to a lot more wins, and guys can get back in their own positions.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think the schedule is actually pretty light for the next couple weeks. Like the teams we're playing are like mid-tier teams. You're not, early season we always play some big names, but that's all I've got.
Yeah,
I think we're in good shape here. We're gonna try to do a couple more updates, I think, on the pod this winter. And maybe that's because you'll have bigger moves to make, especially in 2 or 3 weeks at the trade deadline. But there's things to talk about, and we appreciate everyone for listening after 9 months of nothing. And we still get people like, I don't know if you even know this, like people DM the podcast Instagram and are like, I just re-listened to this episode, or like, I love the trivia and I like the original episodes were great, or whatever. And it's like, I appreciate you guys going back and listening, but we're going to try to put out some new stuff as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the biggest thing for me is that being on the edge of the NBA, I've been very self-conscious about the things I'm doing and the things I'm putting out. I think this is a good time to kind of like sit back, relax, be in Syracuse, be in a comfortable place, see my boy Adam.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, hey, like let's just give the people an update. I remember my grandmother was like, hey, like you updated so much on the podcast that I don't really need to. We don't really need to have conversations on the phone. And now I got to call her because we haven't been doing the podcast. But overall, I'm doing well. I'm ready to go. This might be a setback, but it's definitely not the end of it. So I'm excited to keep on going. We'll release stuff throughout a little bit here and there. We'll get Patty back on the podcast.
He'll be back. He's excited. He just couldn't do it. He's working. These are working hours for normal people.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, no, excited to get some content back out there and go Orange, and we'll be back soon. So appreciate all the Swider Show listeners. I appreciate if you guys listen to this conversation. Adam's going to do his thing with this, and hopefully you guys like it. So just a little update from us, and we'll see you guys soon.
I'm reckless, I'm dumb, according to you, but you don't know shit, you don't know how I move. I'm rolling, I'm smoking and do. I ain't telling lies, baby, you know that I'm the truth.